We can go on the record.
You're on the record, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Today is October the 25th, 2021. We're here in Public Service Commission case number 9663, which is captioned in the matter of the application of CPV Backbone Solar for Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity. Mr. Albert, I've muted you.
I have trouble hearing. Somebody's got their mic on.
Yeah, I just muted Mr. Albert. We're here in case number 9663, which is in the matter of the application of CPV Backbone Solar for a Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity to construct a 175 megawatt solar photovoltaic generating facility in Garrett County, Maryland. My name is Jennifer Grace. I'm the Public Utility Law Judge assigned to handle this matter. We can start with appearances from the company, please.
Morning, Honor. David Beaglemans on behalf of the applicant, CPV Backbone Solar LLC. I also have with me company witnesses Felicia, Bellows, and Dane, Bauer.
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
We can move to PPRP.
Good morning, Your Honor. Sandra McLemore on behalf of the Power Plant Research Program. Also with me today, I have Robert Sadinsky and Daniel Feller and Raymond Barr, who will be witnesses for PPRP today.
Thank you. Good morning. We can move on to Office of People's Counsel.
Good morning, Your Honor. Frederick Hoover on behalf of the Office of People's Counsel.
Good morning, Mr. Hoover. And staff.
Good morning, Your Honor. Kenneth Albert on behalf. Apologies for the noise there. I'm having trouble getting my video working.
Mr. Albert, would you like for us to stop and wait? We can see you on video, or would you?
Oh, you can see me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It doesn't show up on my own. Okay, great. That's all that matters.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Albert. Okay, so I would ask. I understand that the parties received the filing from the applicant, and I understand that the parties have come to some sort of an agreement in this matter. And I understand that the parties asked for their witnesses to be excused this morning. I, however, have several questions, and I didn't know which witness would be answering which question. And I have a couple of preliminary matters that we need to address. So I don't mind if the attorneys want to answer the questions. I don't mind if we want to go through and call some of the witnesses. My questions are primarily about the proposed, well, I mostly have questions for the company's witness and PPRP's witness about the proposed licensing conditions and about construction, this construction timeline. But first, do the parties have any preliminary issues that we need to address?
Your Honor, this is Sandra McLemore. All of our witnesses are here today, and we don't necessarily need them excused. I just wanted to try to save some time with the preliminary matters. So
Sure.
Any questions you have, we're all here to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Preliminarily, we have the Senate Bill 83 and House Bill 298, I believe, changes to 7207. And I wanted to ask the parties if they filed testimony about climate change, specifically in response to those new statutory requirements, and if so, where exactly they're located.
So I could take a stab at that, Your Honor. I think because of the timing with this case, PPRP covered that in its testimony. I don't want to speak for Ms. McLemore, but I think if you look at Mr. Szynski's testimony, there's a page that has a couple of Q&As on that issue. Okay. So the applicant did not in this case, but it was just due to the timing and the fact that the party's direct was due and not our direct.
Okay, and I have seen Mr. Szynski's testimony. Did staff or OPC file any testimony about climate change pursuant to 7207?
Well, on behalf of the Office of People's Counsel, we didn't have a witness in this proceeding at all, so we filed no testimony on that issue.
And Mr. Hoover, is OPC in favor of the the granting of the application with the exhibits proposed by PPRP and staff?
Yes, we're agreeable to the process that's been laid out by Ms. McLemore and Mr. Buchelmans.
Okay, thank you. Does OPC have any concerns regarding climate change in the new subject matter of 7207?
Well, like the commission, we're still sort of working our way through this process of interpreting. Now, our mandate was actually expanded to related to the environmental concerns, and so we're still trying to determine exactly how we're going to be doing that. We're not necessarily stating anything in this particular proceeding, but it's a sort of work in progress within the office.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. And staff?
Staff did not specifically address this. We are aware, though, of Mr. Sidzinski's testimony on behalf of PPRP on this issue.
Okay. Now I have the same questions about some of the new requirements of Public Utilities Article Section 2-113 regarding maintenance of fair and stable labor standards. Does any party want to indicate if they filed any testimony on those, and if so, why or why not?
I could take a stab at that, Your Honor.
Sure.
So I think as a preliminary matter, at least from a legal perspective, if you look at that section of the Public Utilities article, that only applies to the Commission's regulation of public service companies. And I think it's clear that in this case, an applicant for a CPCN like CPV backbone is not a public service company. Public service companies are electric companies, gas companies, and due to deregulation, CPV, basically a public service company cannot own generation. I think if you're looking for, legal precedent to that effect, the perennial decision, that was maybe not a primary holding in that case, but it was something that the Court of Appeals looked at and determined that, these companies are not public service companies. But notwithstanding that, the applicant did hear the testimony that was presented at the public comment hearings, or not testimony, but the public comments. And we did provide through Ms. Bellows some testimony about some labor issues. In addition to that, we have Ms. Bellows here and we're prepared to talk more about it. So we did try to address it, but I think from a purely legal matter in terms of what the commission needs to consider in the context of this case, it's our position that that does not apply here.
Thank you. I wanted that on the record, so I appreciate it. Do any of the other parties want to address 2-113?
Your Honor, we would agree, absent any further guidance from the commission, we would agree with Mr. Buchelmans.
Thank you, Ms. McLemore.
Yeah, and I understand staff's taken has made the same interpretation.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. Okay. I understand the timeline in this case. I've seen, and I understand the requirements of the Indiana bat roost schedule. I've seen in various places in testimony where the dates to be avoided are either May 31st to July 31st, or in Mr. Sidzinski's testimony at page 13, it was May 1st to August 31st. And I wanted to clear up any confusion with those dates that are to be avoided. I didn't see those particular dates in the proposed license conditions by PPRP. I don't think it was specifically addressed there, although, issues with animals were generally addressed. So I just wanted to clear up that confusion, if someone can clear up that confusion for me.
So I think that's the question, Your Honor, for our witnesses. I would suggest perhaps Ms. Bellows. I don't know if you want to have her sworn in at this point. We haven't moved in any of our testimony or exhibits. We can do that after. It's up to you, but I would suggest we could start with Ms. Bellows.
Okay. Okay, I'll ask my specific questions to witnesses. It may drag this out a little bit, but I do have some specific questions, so we can go ahead and you can go ahead and call your first witness.
Sure. What I was planning, Your Honor, is I don't mean to interrupt your questions, but I think I was planning on running through all of our exhibits at once and moving them in all at once. I can do that, or I could just do Miss Bellows.
I'm fine with you moving all your exhibits at once. I understand the parties didn't have any questions for any witnesses, so I'm sure they would stipulate to the admission of all the exhibits, and we can just call Ms. Bellows, and I can ask her my questions if she can answer all of my questions, and if not, then we'll move on to another witness.
Okay. So I'll go through the list. It'll probably take a few minutes, and then Ms. Bellows can take the stand.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the first exhibit from the applicant is the CPCN petition, which was filed on April 27th, 2021, consisting of 9 pages. That's mail log number 234983.
Okay. Applicant Exhibit 1 is so marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next is Applicant Exhibit 2 is the environmental review document and appendices that was also filed on April 27th, 2021, consisting of 648 pages, mail log number 234983 as well.
Applicant 2 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next, we have Applicant Exhibit 3, which are the certificates of publication for the pre-hearing conference, which was filed on June 18th, 2021. 4 pages, mail log number 235797.
Applicant 3 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next, we have a updated glint and glare report filed on June 30th, 2021, consisting of 27 pages under mail log number 235965.
Applicant 4 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next, we have the online notices compliance filing for the first public comment hearing. That was filed on August 2nd, 2021, consisting of 5 pages under mail log number 236382.
Applicant 5 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next, we have the certificate of publication for the first public comment hearing. This is the print notices. That was filed on August 4th, 2021, consisting of 3 pages under mail log number 236443.
Applicant Exhibit 6 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next, we have the direct testimony of Felicia Bellows that was filed on August 6th, 2021, consisting of 10 pages under mail log 236481.
Applicant Exhibit 7 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next, we have the direct testimony of Dane Bauer, also filed on August 6, 2021. It's 5 pages, also mail log number 236481.
Applicant Exhibit 8 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next is Applicant Exhibit 9. It's the revised preliminary site plan for the project, filed on August 25th, 2021, consisting of 3 pages under mail log number 236794.
Applicant Exhibit 9 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next, we have Applicant Exhibit 10. That's a notice of exemption to appropriate and use waters of the state. That was filed on September 14th, 2021. It's 5 pages, filed under mail log number 237029.
Applicant Exhibit 10 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next, we have the online notices compliance filing for the second public comment hearing. That was filed on October 13th, 2021. That's 5 pages under mail log number 237417.
Applicant Exhibit 11 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I would like to note with that we're still waiting for the certificate of publication for the print notices. This happened for the first hearing as well. And the issue is the newspaper is located in West Virginia. They can only mail their certificate of publication. It just takes a long time. So, we're going to submit that as soon as possible, hopefully this week. So I think we're going to have to hold the record open at least for that. But we'll get that in as soon as we can submit that.
Yes, sir.
And then finally, Your Honor, we have as Applicant Exhibit 12, the settlement status update, which was filed on October 21st, 2021. That's 1 page under mail log number 237528.
Applicant Exhibit 12 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. With that, I would respectfully request to move exhibits 1 through 12 into evidence.
Any objection? Hearing none, applicants' exhibits 1 through 12 are admitted.
Thank you.
Before we call your first witness, let's go ahead and go through the exhibits of other parties. PPRP?
Your Honor, we have our first exhibit, PPRP Exhibit 1, is the direct testimony of Robert A. Sadinsky, filed October 13th, 2021, mail log number 237395. If I could have it marked. Apologies.
PPRP Exhibit 1 is marked. Sadinsky direct.
Thank you. PPRP Exhibit 2 is a secretarial letter marked as PPRP Exhibit RAS-2. It was also filed on October 13th under the mail log number 237395.
PPRP 2 is marked.
And PPRP Exhibit 3A is a secretarial letter marked as PPRP Exhibit RAS-2, dated 10/13/2021, and including 6 signatures with the mail log number 237524. Apologies, Your Honor, I got this wrong. If we can, I know I sent you a list, but if we can have PPRP Exhibit 3A be the initial recommended licensing conditions that were filed on October 13th under mail log number 237395.
3A is so marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. And PPRB Exhibit 3B is the secretarial letter. It's the same secretarial letter filed on October 13th, and it's dated as October 13th, but this filing includes 1 signature, and it's marked as, it was filed as ML number 237524. If I could have it.
3B is so marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. PPRP Exhibit 4 is a project assessment report for the Backbone Solar Project. It is PPRP Exhibit RAS-4, and it was filed October 13th, 2021, mail log number 237395.
The PAR is marked as applicant exhibit, PPRP Exhibit 4.
Thank you, Your Honor. PPRP Exhibit 5 is the attachment A to the PPRP Project Assessment Report, and it consists of the applicant's responses to PPRP data requests. It was filed on October the 22nd, 2021, mail log number 237544.
PPRP 5 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. PPRP Exhibit 6 is the Appendix B to the Project Assessment Report. It's the glare analysis filed by the applicant. This document was filed on October 13th, 2021, mail log number 237395.
PPRP 6 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. PPRP Exhibit 7 is a direct testimony of Daniel J. Feller. It was filed on October the 13th, 2021, under mail log number 237395.
PPRP 7 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. And PPRP Exhibit 8 is the direct testimony of Raymond P. Bauer, filed October 13th, 2021, mail log number 237395.
PPRP Exhibit 8 is marked.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I would like to enter those exhibits into the record.
Any objection? Hearing none, PPRP Exhibits 1 through 8 are admitted.
Also, Your Honor, I'd like to apologize that I had some incorrections on my exhibit list. I apologize for that.
No worries. Okay. Office of the People's Counsel, you have no exhibits.
No, we have no testimony, no exhibits.
Okay, I just didn't want to leave you out.
No problem.
Staff.
Thank you, Your Honor. We just have 1 exhibit. This is the direct testimony of Samrawit Tareri. And that was filed on October 13th in mail log 237392. That's mail log 237392, and that is again staff's only exhibit.
Staff Exhibit 1 is marked. Any objection to its admission? Hearing none, Staff Exhibit 1 is admitted. Okay. Mr. Bugelman, do you want to call your first witness?
Sure. So I will call Ms. Felicia Bellows. She's free to answer your questions.
Ms. Bellows, will you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Will you state and spell your first and last name for the court reporter, please?
Felicia Bellows, F as in Frank, Elicia, last name Bellows, B as in boy, ELLOWS.
Okay, Miss Bellows, the Indiana bat, the roosting period that needs to be avoided is, what are the dates that and what will be avoided?
So I have seen, as I have seen it both ways, from May 1st to 7/31 and to 8/31. However, it's 8/31 in the conditions. It is in fact in the conditions, and condition 17, which is forest removal. And there it states no forest removal activities, including tree trimming, clearing, or timbering, shall be conducted during bat roosting season from May 1 to August 31.
Okay. Do you have a copy of the proposed license conditions in front of you from PPRP? Can you turn to number 6, please?
I'm there.
Okay. Number 6, PPRP's proposed licensing condition number 6 indicates a list of things that need to be done prior to construction, including timbering. And then it provides a second list of things that can be done that with timbering as the. Can you explain to me the timeline of what the company intends to do on the project before satisfying PPRP licensing condition 6A and also 6B?
Okay, so they've broken it up into 2 pieces because of this timing consideration. And so we have timbering, and I break it into phases, and Ray, I may not have it exactly the way you guys understand phases, but the way I do it to keep it in my head is we have timbering, then we have phase 1, and we have phase 2. And for me, timbering is, and the way there are certain things that I need to do in order to timber. And those are the conditions that are in A. I need to meet all of those in order to start timbering. And in timbering, what I need to do there is what I will be doing is going into those areas that truly have timber and taking out trees. And that means cutting them down. It does not mean stump removal, other than the first thing. Let's talk about how we do this to begin with. The first thing that we would do is come in and take trees down in areas where we will be putting in perimeter controls. So in that instance, we will be clearing out the perimeter controls, putting them in place, and with enough space such that when we fell trees in the interior, moving away from the perimeter controls, they don't fall down into the perimeter controls and mess up all the work we've done around the perimeter controls. So we have to, that's the first thing we will do. And then the next thing we will do is move in further and take the remaining timber in. Now, assuming there were lots of time, that maybe the project is not ready to go yet, then that would remain there with the timber down and the stumps in place, other than the perimeter controls, until phase 1. And then phase 1 is when we come in, and that's actually what you would consider construction. And I have to meet all these other conditions, which are B, prior to being able to do that. And that's when we come in and, we remove the stumps, and we do the whole grinding and grubbing and start really putting in the other controls as we remove those stumps. And real full scale, all your civil work starts then ultimately putting in racking and then panels.
Before starting the timbering, before anything in section A is complete, what, if anything, does the company intend to do on the site?
I don't believe we can do anything until we actually meet all of those conditions, other than, I mean, obviously go out and survey and things like that.
Okay. Specifically, we're section 6A specifically refers to, well, a lot of things, but conditions 20 and 22, which is erosion and sediment control and streams and wetlands. And there are some specific permissions that need to be gained in those areas. When does the company, what is the timeline when the company expects to have those complete?
We would like to have those complete within the next month or two, max. So we would like to have all of that ready so that when, you grant us if and when you grant us our CPCN certificate, then everything is ready and we can immediately begin timbering.
Okay.
And the timeline is critical because of the fact that, again, we need to get that done before May 1st, or we have to stop for a period of time. And so, given that inclement weather and this, that, and the other, we're not sure that we will have time. So therefore, the rush to be able to begin as soon as possible.
Okay. Okay, those are all the questions I have for Ms. Bellows. I do have questions, the similar questions for the PPRP witness regarding licensing's conditions 20 and 22. Mr. Bugelman, any questions in response to my questions of your witness?
I do have a few follow-up questions, Your Honor.
Sure.
So Ms. Bellows, you testified about perimeter controls related to timbering, correct?
Yes.
And in terms of determining what those controls are, is it true that the applicant has been working closely with the county, MDE, and PPRP on those plans?
Absolutely. We've made a number of submittals. The county and MDE and SED have commented on that. It's been, a iterative process of trying to refine that and get to, the types of controls that everyone is comfortable with and that work for the site.
And is it true that as a result of this coordinated review, those government entities have been reviewing both erosion and sediment control and stormwater management plans at the same time, correct?
Yes, they have been looking at both.
And in terms of erosion and sediment control, is it also correct that that MDE is conducting a joint review with the county?
Yes, that is correct.
Could you describe a bit about the timeline and the effort that's gone into this joint review in terms of planning and meetings to try to facilitate this timing and address these issues?
Yes, we had a site visit in June with PPRP and MDE and SCD and the county, and really we looked at everything on the site, including, the wildlife corridor, as well as the different aspects of the site. And, the walk away really was that, what the area that we need to focus on and work on is, in fact, erosion and sediment control and stormwater management, given that it's a former mining site. As a result of that, we laid out a plan to be able to quickly move through the planning process and in a way that we would work together and have weekly meetings with PPRP, and then also set up a schedule for submittals that we had to make. And in fact, I had to kind of just put in place some agreements, what we call limited notice to proceed, with my EPC contractor to be able to pay them to do work, which normally we would do later in a process, but to work through that and get everyone's buy-in, coordinated effort to make things work. In fact, the first thing that we submitted, the MDE and the county really didn't like that much in terms of how we had set up large basins. We went back to the drawing board and came up with something else with using their guidance. They've always been available to do phone calls with us and guide us through that. So it has been a very, it's been a very coordinated effort, and it's worked quite well.
And in terms of your experience, you've done projects in other parts of the country, for instance, California and in other jurisdictions. How would you characterize this level of environmental review compared to other places you've done work?
It's very interesting to me because it does in fact compare it's very similar to what I've done in California. Unlike, for example, North Carolina, but it's very similar to California. And here too, I've had experience working with different agencies where they have sat down at the table with you and worked through issues and gotten to a point where everyone was comfortable.
All right, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bugelmans. Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Bellows. PPRP,
Yes, Your Honor.
do you want to call a witness?
Your Honor, we have 3 witnesses today. Robert Sadinsky, Mr. Sadinsky can answer any questions about the conditions or any details on the process. If you have specific questions about the MDE county review on sediment and erosion control, Mr. Raymond Bauer is here he's with the Maryland Department of Environment. And then if you have any questions on the wildlife corridor, Mr. Daniel Feller's here to answer any questions. If you let me know what questions you have, I will try to help you figure out who might best answer them.
It seems like from condition 11 that PPRP is satisfied with what's been put in place for the wildlife corridor, so I don't have any questions on that. But Ms. McLemore, don't we usually at this point in time have a final MDE permitting and approval of erosion and sediment in streams and wetlands? I'm wondering why I understand the rush, but I'm also understanding I want the records clear on whether PPRP is satisfied with what we have in place and when we may have MDE permitting on streams and wetlands and erosion and sediment control. And also, my other question was, why is it just folks from MDE and the county being notified once these are complete and not the parties to the matter?
On the why this is different than most cases, this is on the side of a mountain. We don't have many cases like that. It's a much larger site, and there's so significant issues that are not typically addressed. Mr. Raymond Bauer can explain that process and what all is involved with that, but it is a unique aspect. As far as the process and how it's different, Mr. Sadinsky can talk to that. As the parties are not necessarily involved with the erosion and sediment control process because that is an MDE county issue. Typically, the county takes a lead, as Mr. Barr can explain, but in this instance, they have worked together, and it's been, I believe, pretty successful. But they are the ones that will need to give the actual permit, and that's no different than in any other case. They will have to file it in this instance, but that is no different than any other case.
But it is different than other cases in that that has not been completed prior to getting approval from the commission. Is that correct? Usually we have that permitting already complete. I see Mr. Bugelman shaking his head.
I could help answer the question if you.
And I also think that Mr. Sadinsky can help answer that question because he has a couple of cases as well. So yes, there are certain permits that are not necessarily given at the time of the CPCN being given. They're contingent on it.
Let's go ahead and call Mr. Sadinsky. He's been listening, and hopefully he can straighten me out on all of this.
Yeah, good morning, Your Honor. Yeah, Bob Sadinsky, Maryland DNR Power Plant Research Program. I'm currently the acting director.
Okay, can you hold on just one second? Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Can you spell your last name for the court reporter?
Yeah, first name is Robert, last name Sadinsky, S-A-D as in David, Z-I-N-S-K-I.
Okay. Do you want me to ask you specific questions, or you just want to help me out?
I will say in general, the stormwater management permits issued from MDE are always after the CPCN. I have not had a case where they've not been issued prior to, because generally they rely on the site plan. And the site plan approval generally comes after the county approves them. So it's a matter of timing.
Okay. And what is the timeline for when the requirements in 20 and 22 will be complete?
I'm sorry, I'm not quite understanding the question.
So PPRP submitted licensing conditions, and they require some final approvals. So based on the calendar, when do you think that those final approvals will be complete?
I think that's a better question for Mr. Bauer from MDE.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if I could add a point of clarification for the bat roosting period.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
We also have Dan Feller. So maybe as a follow-up later, Dan Feller can be called as a witness to testify to that.
Okay, thank you. I think Mr. Sadinsky, you had it right in your testimony at page 13 that it's May 1st through August 31st. And that also is on the outer limits of what some of the other statements were, which included, a smaller period of time. So I think I'm going to go with the way you had, if that's okay. But I will ask that Mr. Barr be called so that I can find out a little bit more about the timing of the permissions needed from MDE. Ms. McLemore, do you have any questions for Mr. Sadinsky based on the testimony he's given?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Sadinsky, thanks for your testimony.
Thank you.
Mr. Barr, can you
Yeah,
raise your right hand,
Morning,
please?
Your Honor.
Good morning. Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Okay, and can you spell your last name, please, for the court reporter?
My last name is Barr, B as in boy, A-H-R.
Okay, Mr. Barr, what is your employment?
I work for Maryland Department of the Environment. I'm the Deputy Program Manager for Stormwater, Dam Safety, and Flood Management.
It's nice to meet you. I don't think we've met before. Can you tell me a little bit about the process that will continue between MDE and the applicant from this point until further?
Sure. Stormwater management is local, so that's why you keep hearing Garrett County brought up a lot. Garrett County will issue the final approvals for stormwater management. Erosion and sediment control, that approval occurs by the Soil Conservation District, the Garrett Soil Conservation District, which is slightly different than the county. And in Comar, there is an option for a local SCD to request a joint review from MDE. So that's how we got involved. The local SCD, because of the size and complexity of this project, they requested that we come in and do a joint review with them. So that is what MDE's role is, as we're working with the SCD in the erosion and sediment control approval. Now, state law for both stormwater management and erosion and sediment control require that they be coordinated, and it makes sense. I think the testimonies that we have written and submitted into you go into the background of why a comprehensive coordinated plan from the very beginning of the project to the end of the project makes the most sense, so that they seamlessly work together instead of independently being approved. I would agree with Ms. Bellows. We've had a robust back and forth. They've been submitting plans. We've been reviewing them. There is a lot of engineering work. These are very, long reports with a lot of calculations and things like that. And because of it's on a mountain and steep slopes, we want to get all of that correct. So as far as scheduling moving forward, she mentioned a month. And, a lot of this is dependent upon the engineered plans that come in, and then our review time. and submitting them back, dotting the i's, crossing the t's. I think it can be done in a month. It is very ambitious, but I think that it can be done in a month. I think the important thing is there are conditions in the licensing agreement or proposed conditions that say a final erosion sediment control and stormwater management plans must be approved before timbering. I think that that is extremely important.
Okay, so, okay. So if there's a problem with these permits, what happens?
I'm not clear on what a problem would be. What we want to know is that the development of the site is doable, and it's necessarily, you know, anything is doable, you know, if you have enough money. So it's a cost balance here to get the best plan that you can, and you know, I don't know that we call them problems. I think that there are issues that we need to work through. And I think that that's what the robust discussions back and forth with Backbone and the county and with MDE, you know, it's a lot of technical people who are trying to work through the best way to ensure that the water comes down this mountain in a very stable fashion and that water quality is provided.
Okay. Condition number 22 on erosion and sediment control and stormwater management requires that Backbone Solar obtain an independent full-time environmental inspector, and that person will work with MDE and the county. What happens if they, I guess the language is, report that a potential environmental concern or violation occurs? What's the purpose of that, of having that person there, and what happens if there is a concern?
Yes. The state and the county inspect the site for compliance. We do not have the resources to be out there full time. Because this is a large project and it's a complex project, we requested that there be an independent environmental inspector that's very familiar with erosion and sediment control and stormwater management. And if they were to see a problem, they would call our inspectors out, who are probably going to be going out there on a weekly basis, just not every day, so that as soon as somebody sees something, you know, we can put our eyes on it as quickly as possible. And a lot of times, you know, with erosion and sediment control, there's a lot of maintenance that needs to be done. You can't foresee everything. So the important thing is to walk the site, walk the perimeter of the site, find out where maintenance is needed, provide inspection reports to the developer so that they can proactively fix them. But if they would continue to cause a problem, it's either because they're not being maintained or because the engineering controls are not fitting the situation. And in that instance, you would put your head back together, the developer and the county and the state, to figure out what an appropriate engineering fix would be to stabilize the situation.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Bauer. I don't have any other questions. Ms.
You're welcome.
McLemore, do you have any questions based on mine?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your testimony this morning, Mr. Bauer. All right, I don't have any further questions for any witness. Mr. Bugelman's filed something last week, Thursday or Friday of last week, asking for a shortened appeal period in this matter. Do all of the parties agree to that? I see Ms. McLemore nodding her head for PPRP.
Office of People's Counsel agrees.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover.
Staff is okay with that as well.
Okay, thank you. Does any other party have anything we need to address at this time? Okay, I will do my best to get this order out as soon as possible. I will shorten the review period. And I thank everyone for all of your hard work in this case. It seems like it's a great project, and I'm excited to see it go forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We can go off the record.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
You're off the record, Your Honor. Thank you.